You always wake up like this. But we've been doing this for 15 years, asterisk. Marcus felt consciousness creep back like tide returning to shore. His eyelids fluttered open to harsh white light, and every muscle in his body screamed in protest. Last thing he remembered was climbing into his fighter craft, preparing for what should have been a routine patrol mission near the Terran border. Easy, human. Do not try to move too quickly. The voice belonged to someone leaning over him. His vision cleared. Marcus saw a face unlike any he had ever encountered. Her skin held a subtle blue tint that seemed to shimmer in the artificial light, and her eyes were larger than human eyes, colored like deep ocean water. Silver hair fell in waves around angular features that were both alien and strangely beautiful. "Are you?" Marcus managed to croak, his throat raw and unused. "I am Dr. Zara Vex. I have been caring for you." She moved with fluid grace, checking readings on devices he did not recognize. "You have been in stasis for 15 years, Marcus." The words hit him like a physical blow. 15 years? That's impossible. Time moves differently when the mind is suspended between sleeping and waking. Zara's voice carried an odd tenderness. "Your body aged only months while decades passed in the galaxy beyond this station." Marcus tried to sit up, but restraints held him to the medical bed. Panic flared in his chest. "Let me go." "Where am I? What happened to my ship?" "Oh, you are aboard. Research Station Omega, orbiting Helios Prime. Your fighter was found drifting in neutral space. Life support failing. By all medical understanding, you should have died." Zara paused, her strange eyes studying his face. "But something in your neural patterns was different. Unique." "Different how?" Zara hesitated, and Marcus caught something in her expression. Guilt, perhaps. Or fear. "Your mind remained partially active during stasis. Most beings in deep suspension experience complete neural shutdown, but you continued to dream, to feel, to respond to external stimuli." A chill ran down Marcus's spine. "What kind of stimuli?" "I monitored your brain activity every night, spoke to you. Sometimes I would touch your hand or face to gauge neurological responses." Zara's cheeks darkened to a deeper blue. "It was necessary for your recovery." "Necessary," Marcus repeated slowly. Something in her tone suggested otherwise. Or was there another reason? Zara turned away, busying herself with medical equipment. "You were alone for so long. I thought you might need companionship, even in sleep." "Look at me," Marcus commanded, surprising himself with the authority in his voice. When Zara faced him again, he saw vulnerability in those oceanic eyes. This alien doctor had spent 15 years watching over him, speaking to his unconscious, form touching him with careful hands. The intimacy of it was overwhelming. "What did you say to me during those nights?" He asked softly. "Many things. I told you about my research, about the stars visible from the observation deck. Sometimes I read poetry from my homeworld." She paused. "There are times I simply talked about my day, my thoughts. It seemed to calm your neural patterns, and you touched me." "Yes." The admission was barely a whisper. Marcus felt an estranged pull toward this being who had been his sole companion through years of darkness. "Did I respond?" "Your heart rate would change. Your breathing would deepen. Once, when I brushed your cheek, you turned your face toward my hand." Zara's voice grew thick with emotion. "I told myself it was just reflexive response, but—" "You hoped for more?" She nodded, unable to speak. The restraint suddenly felt less like captivity and more like protection. Marcus realized he was not just awakening from stasis, but from a relationship he could not remember, but somehow felt in his very bones. 15 years, he murmured. "You gave 15 years of your life to a stranger. You were never a stranger to me, Marcus. Your dreams, your memories, your deepest thoughts, I have seen them all through the neural monitors." Zara stepped closer. To his bed. "I know you better than anyone has ever known another being." The implication sent heat racing through Marcus's body. This beautiful alien had been intimately connected to his mind for longer than some beings lived. She had witnessed his subconscious desires, his fears, his most private moments. "Then you know what I am thinking right now," he said. his voice low and rough. Zara's eyes widened, but she did not step away. The neural link was severed when you awakened. I can no longer sense your thoughts, good Marcus replied, holding her gaze. Because what I am thinking would probably get us both in trouble. Zara released the restraints with trembling fingers, but warned Marcus not to move too quickly. His muscles had atrophied despite her careful maintenance, and his nervous system needed time to fully reconnect with his body. Tell me about the dreams, Marcus said as she helped him sit up slowly. What did you see? I should not have accessed them so deeply, Zara admitted, her voice thick with guilt. It was a violation of your privacy, but your neural patterns were unlike anything in medical literature. I had to understand what made you different. I am not angry about the dreams, Marcus said, catching her hand as she adjusted his pillow. I want to know what you saw. The contact sent electricity through both of them. Zara's skin was warm and impossibly soft, with a subtle texture like the finest silk. She looked down at their joined hands with wonder. You dreamed of flying among stars that do not exist in any known system? You relived memories of a childhood I could feel but not quite see? And sometimes... She trailed off, her cheeks deepening to that lovely dark blue. Sometimes what? Sometimes you dreamed of touch, of intimacy, of connection so deep it transcended physical form. Zara's eyes met his. In those dreams you were never alone. Felt heat building in his core. Were you in those dreams? Toward the end, yes. Your subconscious began incorporating my presence, my voice, my touch. I would monitor your neural activity and see myself reflected in your sleeping mind. She pulled her hand free, but did not move away. It was wrong of me to enjoy it. Why wrong? Because you could not consent. Because I was your doctor. Because... She gestured to herself, then to him. Because we are different species with different needs, different ways of loving. Marcus reached for her again, this time catching her wrist and pulling her closer. Show me how your people love, Marcus. You are not thinking clearly. 15 years of stasis, the neural adjustments, the medication. My mind has never been clearer. He guided her hand to his chest, over his heart. For 15 years, you kept me alive, spoke to me, touched me, shared your thoughts and dreams. You know my deepest self. How is that not love? Zara's resistance crumbled. She pressed her palm flat against his chest, feeling the strong, steady rhythm of his heart. Among my people, we bond through neural connection first, physical touch second. The mind creates the pathway for the heart to follow. We already have the neural connection, Marcus pointed out. 15 years of it, that was one-sided. I could sense you, but you could not sense me. Then let me sense you now. Zara hesitated, then placed her other hand against his temple. Close your eyes and open your mind. Do not fight what you feel. The moment their skin connected, Marcus gasped. Images flooded his consciousness. He saw himself through Zara's eyes during those long years of stasis. Saw her sitting beside his bed night after night, talking softly, reading poetry, sometimes simply watching his face in the dim light. He felt her loneliness, her dedication, her growing affection that slowly transformed into something deeper. You loved me before I was even awake, he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. I tried to fight it, she replied, her hand still pressed to his temple. I told myself it was just professional attachment, then compassion, then concern. The truth was simpler and more terrifying. Tell me I fell in love with your dreams, with the man I met in your sleeping mind. With your strength, your curiosity, your gentle heart, tears gathered in her oceanic eyes. I fell in love with someone who might never wake up, who might never be able to love me back. Marcus pulled her down to him, cradling her face in his hands. I am awake now. And are you capable of loving an alien doctor who violated every ethical boundary to keep you close? I am capable of loving the woman who gave 15 years of her life to save mine. He brushed his thumb across her cheek, marveling at the softness of her skin. The woman who talked to me through the darkness and gave me dreams worth waking up for. Zara leaned into his touch, her eyes closing. This is forbidden. If the station commander discovers our connection, let me worry. About the commander. Marcus drew her closer until their faces were inches apart. Right now, all I care about is 15 years of missed opportunities. What do you mean? I mean, if you had been touching me and I had been unconscious, then I never got to touch you. Back, his voice dropped to a husky whisper. I never got to show you how those dreams made me feel. Zara's breath caught. Marcus. ... What? Tell me you do not want this. Tell me those nights meant nothing to you, and I will respect your wishes. But if there's even a small part of you that wonders what we could have together, she silenced him with a kiss that was gentle at first, then desperate. Her lips were softer than human lips, and she tasted like something exotic and sweet. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. 15 years of wondering, she whispered against his mouth, and let us stop wondering. The next few days passed in a haze of recovery and stolen moments. Marcus's strength returned gradually under Zara's careful supervision, and she taught him about the galaxy that had changed while he slept. The war between humans and the Zelkorian Empire had ended in an uneasy truce. New alliances had formed, old enemies had become trading partners, and humanity had earned a grudging respect among the galactic community. But none of that explains why you kept me hidden, Marcus said during one of their evening sessions. They sat together in Zara's private quarters. Sharing a meal of foods from her homeworld, Zara set down her eating utensil and turned to face him fully. When your fighter was found, the official report listed you as dead. Your body was supposed to be returned to human space for burial, but I intervened. Why? Because I detected unusual neural activity even in your dying brain. Something that defied all known science? She moved closer to him on the small couch they shared. I convinced my superiors to let me attempt an experimental stasis procedure. I told them you might hold keys to understanding human consciousness. And they believed you? The Zelkorian Council values scientific advancement above all else. They granted me a small research station and unlimited time to study your case. Zara's eyes grew distant. What I did not tell them was how deeply I intended to probe your mind, or how personally invested I had become. Marcus took her hand, intertwining their fingers. What did you find in my mind that was so unusual? Humans are not supposed to be telepathically active. Your species evolved without psionic abilities, unlike most galactic races. Yet your neural patterns showed potential for connection, for shared consciousness, for bonds that transcend individual identity. Is that why you could see my dreams? Partly. But there was more. Zara stood and moved to a console across the room. After entering a security code, she activated a holographic display. These are your neural scans from the past 15 years. Marcus studied the swirling patterns of light and color. To his untrained eye, they looked like abstract art, but Zara pointed out specific formations. Here in your temporal lobe, new neural pathways formed during stasis. Pathways that should not exist in human brain structure. She manipulated the display, showing different time periods. They began forming after the first month of our sessions together. Our sessions? The nights I spent talking to you, touching you, sharing my thoughts. Your brain was adapting, learning to connect with mine. Zara's voice grew soft. You were evolving, Marcus, becoming something new. The implications hit him like a physical blow. You think I am some kind of mutant? I think you are the next step in human development. The first of your kind to develop natural telepathic abilities. She returned to his side, taking his hands in hers. And I think our connection accelerated the process. Marcus felt a surge of understanding. That is why you hid me. Not to protect me from the Council, but to protect the Council from what I might become. Telepathic human would change the balance of power in the galaxy. Your people could develop abilities to match or exceed the most advanced races. Some would see that as a threat to be eliminated. But you see it as something else. I see it as beautiful, Zara whispered, her eyes shining. A bridge between species, a way for minds to truly touch across the void of space and time. Marcus pulled her closer until she was sitting across his lap, her legs on either side of his waist. Show me how minds touch in your culture. It requires complete trust, complete vulnerability. You must open every thought, every memory, every desire to your partner. And in return, you experience perfect understanding, perfect acceptance, perfect love. Zara's hands framed his face. But it also creates a permanent bond. Once minds have truly touched, they are forever connected. Even death cannot completely sever the link. That sounds terrifying. It is the most frightening and most wonderful experience in the universe. She leaned closer, her breath warm against his lips. Are you willing to be terrified with me? Marcus answered by kissing her deeply, pouring 15 years of unconscious longing into the contact. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. I have been unconsciously bonded to you for 15 years. Making it conscious seems like the next logical step. Zara smiled, her first real smile since his awakening. Then close your eyes and trust me. She placed her hands on either side of his head, her fingers finding specific pressure points. Open your mind, Marcus. Let me in. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It began as warmth spreading from her touch, then became a rushing sensation as if he were falling through space. Then suddenly, he was not just Marcus anymore. He was also Zara, feeling her loneliness during the long years of his sleep. Her dedication to his care, her growing love that she had tried so hard to deny. But more than that, he felt her alien perspective on existence itself. Where humans saw linear time and individual consciousness, her people experienced reality as an interconnected web of thought and emotion. She had never truly been alone because she could always sense the presence of others of her kind. Until she met him. His unconscious human mind had been like a void in her perception, a fascinating emptiness that she had been drawn to fill. I was so lonely, he realized, speaking the words aloud even as he experienced her memories. Even in my dreams, I was searching for connection. And I was lonely too, she replied, her voice seeming to come from inside his own thoughts. Surrounded by minds I could touch, but none that truly understood me. Then I found you, and for the first time, experienced what it meant to love someone whose thoughts were beautifully, mysteriously separate from my own. The mental joining deepened, and Marcus began to understand the full scope of what she had sacrificed for him. She had turned down positions on more prestigious research stations. She had rejected advances from males of her own species. She had dedicated her life to caring for a being who might never wake up, all because she had fallen in love with his dreaming mind. 15 years of your life, he whispered, overwhelmed by the depth of her devotion. The best 15 years of my life, she corrected. Even if you had never awakened, I would not trade those nights for anything in the galaxy. Their mental bond was still new and fragile when the station commander arrived unexpectedly for an inspection. Marcus barely had time to return to his recovery room before Commander Vex strode through the medical bay, his reptilian features set in their usual stern expression. Dr. Vex, I require a status report on the human subject, Vex announced, his forked tongue flicking out to taste the air. The council grows impatient with the resources allocated to this project. Zara maintained her professional composure, but through their new mental link, Marcus could feel her anxiety. The subject continues to show remarkable recovery. His neural adaptation progresses beyond all expectations. Adaptation to what, exactly? Dex's yellow eyes narrowed. Your reports have become increasingly vague. The stasis procedure triggered unprecedented changes in his brain structure. I need more time to fully understand the implications. Time is a luxury we no longer possess. Vex moved closer to Marcus's bed, studying him with predatory interest. The human government has begun asking questions about their missing pilot. They demand proof of death or return of their citizen. Marcus fought to keep his expression neutral, but inside his mind, he felt Zara's fear spike. Through their bond, he sensed her desperate thoughts, plans for escape, ways to hide him. Anything to prevent his return to human space where government scientists would dissect him like a laboratory specimen. Commander, if I may? Zara interjected carefully. The subject's unique neural patterns could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. Surely the Council would not wish to surrender such a valuable research opportunity. Council wishes to avoid an interstellar incident, Dex replied coldly. You have 48 hours to complete your research and prepare the subject for transfer. After the commander left, Zara sagged against the wall, her blue skin pale with distress. 48 hours, she whispered. How can I document 15? Years of research in 48 hours. Cannot, Marcus said quietly. We both know that is not what this is really about. She looked at him with surprise, then understanding. Through their mental link, he had felt her deepest fear, that once he was returned to human space, she would never see him again. The thought of losing him now, just when they had found each other, was unbearable. There is another option, she said slowly. Running. I know places in the Outer Rim where the Council's authority is weak. Worlds where different species live together without interference. She moved to his bedside, taking his hand. But it would mean giving up everything. My career, my research, my home, and I would be giving up my own people, my identity as a human citizen. Marcus squeezed her fingers. Are you asking me to choose between my species and you? I am asking you to choose between a life of captivity and a life of freedom. Her voice grew urgent. If you return to human space, your government will never let you go. They will study you, test you, try to replicate your abilities. Will spend the rest of your existence as a laboratory subject. Marcus felt the truth of her words through their mental connection. She had seen classified reports, intercepted communications. Human scientists were already preparing facilities for his return, eager to unlock the secrets of his altered brain. But if I run with you, I become a fugitive from both sides, he pointed out. The Council will hunt us for stealing valuable research, and humans will consider me a traitor. Yes, she met his eyes steadily. But we would be together. The simple statement carried the weight of total commitment. Zara was offering to abandon her entire life for the chance to build something new with him. The magnitude of her sacrifice was staggering. Show me these worlds you mentioned, Marcus said quietly. Hope flickered in her oceanic eyes as she activated her personal data pad. Images appeared of distant planets, lush jungle worlds where multiple species lived in harmony. Crystal cities built into asteroid fields, floating platforms above gas giant atmospheres. This is Sanctuary 7, she said, highlighting a green and blue world. No formal government, no extradition treaties. Traders, explorers, artists, and refugees from across the galaxy make their homes there. It looks beautiful, Marcus admitted. But Zara, what about your research? Your career? You've worked your entire adult life to reach your current position. My research was you, she said simply. My career was caring for you. If I can continue doing that, nothing else matters. The words sent warmth flooding through their mental bond. Marcus realized that for Zara, he had become not just a patient or a lover, but her life's work, her purpose, her future. And what would we do on this sanctuary world? Whatever we choose? I have medical skills that are valued anywhere. You have piloting experience, and now unique abilities that could be put to peaceful uses. She leaned closer. We could help people, explore the galaxy, maybe even start a family. A family. The concept stunned him. Is that even possible between our species? With your developing telepathic abilities, many things become possible that were not before. Her cheeks darkened with that lovely blue blush. But even if we cannot have children, we could have each other. Completely, freely, without anyone trying to separate us or study us or use us. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Through their mental link, he sensed Zara's complete acceptance of whatever choice he made. She would not try to influence him, would not manipulate his emotions. She would simply love him and support his decision, even if it meant losing him forever. That unconditional acceptance made his choice clear. When do we leave? Asked. They had 12 hours before Commander Vex returned with a transport ship to take Marcus back to human space. 12 hours to steal a ship, forge identification documents, and disappear into the vast emptiness between stars. Zara moved with efficient grace, packing only essentials, medical supplies, data crystals containing her research, a few personal items from her homeworld. Marcus watched her work, marveling at how easily she was abandoning everything she had built for herself. No regrets? He asked as she sealed the final storage container. Only one, she replied, turning to face him. That we did not have more time. We have the rest of our lives. If we escape, if we reach Sanctuary 7, if we can build a life there. She moved into his arms, seeking comfort in his embrace. There are so many variables, so many things that could go wrong. Marcus tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his eyes. Then, let us focus on the things that could go right. He kissed her softly, pouring reassurance through their mental bond. They had found each other across species barriers, across 15 years of unconsciousness, across the vast loneliness of space. Surely they could overcome whatever obstacles lay ahead. The cargo ship in docking bay 7, Zara murmured against his lips. It is scheduled for departure in 3 hours, but the pilot is known to leave early if properly motivated. How credits? Lots of them. She pulled back to look at him seriously. I have been transferring my savings and research grants to untraceable accounts. We will not be wealthy, but we will have enough to start over. Marcus felt another surge of amazement at her thoroughness. She had been planning this escape for longer than he realized, preparing for the possibility that their relationship might require such desperate measures. You thought of everything. I tried to, but Marcus... Her voice grew uncertain. Once we board that ship, there is no going back, no changing our minds, no second chances. Are you certain this is what you want? Instead of answering with words, Marcus opened his mind completely to their mental bond. He let her feel his certainty, his commitment, his love that had grown from unconscious dreams into waking devotion. He showed her his vision of their future together, exploring new worlds, helping people with their combined skills, growing old together under alien suns. I have never been more certain of anything, he said aloud. They made their way through the station's corridors like ghosts, avoiding security patrols and surveillance sensors. Zara's knowledge of the station's layout proved invaluable, guiding them through maintenance passages and forgotten access ways. The cargo ship was exactly where she had promised. A mid-sized transport vessel designed for long-range freight hauling. The pilot, a gruff humanoid with 4 arms and cybernetic implants, barely looked up from his pre-flight checks when they approached. Passage to the outer rim, Zara said, sliding a credit chip across his console. No questions, no records, no stops. The pilot examined the chip, his eyes widening at the amount displayed. That much coin buys you a lot of silence. Climb aboard. As the ship prepared for departure, Marcus felt a moment of profound loss. He was leaving behind not just the station, but his entire identity. He would never again be Lieutenant Marcus Chen of the Terran Coalition Navy. He would never see Earth again, could never reconnect with friends or family who might still remember him. Zara sensed his sadness through their mental bond and took his hand. Every ending is also a beginning. I know. It is just... He struggled to find words for the enormity of what he was leaving behind. You are mourning the life you thought you would have, she said gently. That is natural.
But Marcus...
That life was already gone. 15 years passed while you slept. Your friends have moved on. Your family has grieved and healed. The man you were exists now only in memory. Then who am I now? You are whoever you choose to be. She squeezed his fingers. You are the man who survived 15 years in stasis and emerged stronger. You are the human who developed abilities no human has ever possessed. You are my partner, my bondmate, my future. The ship shuddered as it broke free of the station's artificial gravity. Through the small porthole, Marcus watched Research Station Omega shrink to a distant point of light. Somewhere aboard that station, Commander Thex would soon discover their absence and launch a galaxy-wide manhunt. How long before they realize we are gone? He asked. A few hours at most. But by then we will be beyond the reach of their immediate sensors. Zara activated a small device she had smuggled aboard. This will mask our ship's signature until we reach the outer rim. After that, We disappear into the anonymous masses, seeking their fortunes on the frontier worlds. The next several hours passed in tense silence as they traveled toward the edge of civilized space. The pilot asked no questions and offered no conversation, focusing entirely on his controls. Marcus and Zara huddled together in the small passenger compartment, sharing warmth and comfort through their mental bond. "Tell me about Sanctuary 7, Marcus said as they entered hyperspace. It was founded by refugees from the Vegan War 2 centuries ago. No central government, no formal laws beyond basic codes against violence and theft. Zara's eyes grew distant as she accessed memories. The largest settlement is called Havenport. Mixed architecture from dozens of species, markets that sell. Goods from across the galaxy, spaceports that ask no questions about passenger manifests. It sounds chaotic. It is. But it is also free." She turned to face him fully. "Marcus, there is something else you should know about Sanctuary 7. It is where many interspecies couples go to be together. Relationships that would be forbidden, or illegal in their home systems. Like ours. Exactly like ours. We will not be unusual there. We will not be studied or questioned or judged." Her voice grew soft with longing. "We can simply be together." Marcus pulled her closer, marveling again at the softness of her alien skin, the warmth of her body against his. "And what will we do once we arrive? Whatever makes us happy. I can practice medicine at the free clinic. You could pilot cargo runs or explore uncharted systems. We could buy a small ship of our own and travel wherever curiosity takes us. Together. Always. Together." She kissed him with 15 years of suppressed longing, and through their mental bond, he felt her complete joy at the prospect of their shared future. When the ship finally dropped out of hyperspace near Sanctuary 7, Marcus saw their new home for the first time, a blue-green world wrapped in silver clouds with 2 small moons dancing attendance. It looked peaceful, welcoming. Like a place where 2 refugees from different species could build something beautiful together. "Ready?" Zara asked, as the pilot prepared for atmospheric entry. Marcus took her hand and opened his mind fully to their bond, sharing his certainty, his love, his commitment to whatever adventures awaited them. "Ready," he said, and meant it with every cell in his transformed body, as their ship descended toward the surface of their new world. Marcus realized that sometimes the greatest love stories began not with a first meeting, but with a second awakening. He had spent 15 years sleeping in Zara's care. Now he was finally ready to spend the rest of his life dreaming beside her in the waking world.